E.N.D here. Sleeves come in various colors and in various brands. But why it is important that you sleeve your cards? Why it is important? Today I will do a discussion why it is imperative to sleeve your cards when collecting and also when playing. Let's see when collecting. Why do you sleeve your cards? I'm not going to do any advertising for any brand sleeves. You could buy any sleeves you want. You could buy cheap sleeves. You could buy branded sleeves. All sleeves give you a certain amount of protection for your cards. If you want more protection, you can also double sleeve your cards. But, as I said, it is imperative that you sleeve your cards in your collection. Let's take an example. This is an alpha lightning bolt. It is quite heavy plate. It's not mint, but still it is a very valuable card. Even in this condition, alpha lightning bolts don't come around that easy. And as I said, as a collector, it is important that you sleeve your cards. The sleeve will give you an extra layer of protection for your card. And we're talking about a card that is 25 years old. That is very important that you sleeve every card in your collection, especially high value cards like this. I also sleeve the cards from the latest sets. These are the cards from War of the Spark that are in my collection. These are foil Ugin, foil Chandra, foil Teferi, foil Nisvizit, and then I have Karn, Gideon, Nicol Bolas, Liliana, all the good cards in War of the Spark. I always keep all the good cards in War of the Spark. In every set release I always keep the good cards. Those are added into my collection and I usually sell the rest. I sell the rest only to get some money back for the next set. As I said, it is important that you sleeve all cards in your collection. Another important thing about sleeving cards is foils. As I said, this is a foil Ugin, the Ineffable. It is a beautiful foil card. You can see how it reflects. You know that foil cards tend to curl, so it is important that you sleeve the card because the sleeving the card will reduce the amount of air that the card touches, thus reducing the curling of the card. I have made a tutorial how to straighten curl cards, which probably I will edit here by the end of this video. If you want to know how to curl cards, it is a very interesting tutorial and I advise you to see that particular video. As I said, sleeving is important even for foils because it tends to reduce the curling, and as I said, it will give you always that extra layer of protection. Now, that is when it comes to collecting. Then when it comes to protect your collection. Obviously, protecting your collection means that the cards remain at the state that you bought them, mint condition, heavy plate condition, but still a valuable card, 25 years old, alpha lightning bolt. Now, the next step in sleeving cards, when it comes to play. Why it is important to sleeve card when you play. Obviously, Magic the Gathering cards are there to play with them. I personally prefer collecting than playing, but I'm quite a person that likes to play Magic the Gathering. So it is, in my opinion, a blasphemy if you play a deck without sleeves. First of all, when it comes to shuffle, if you shuffle your deck, let's use the basic shuffle. If you shuffle your deck, you're surely going to nick cards. Nicking card means that you will damage the cards easily. More you shuffle, more you will damage the cards. But you tell, but I shuffle like this. I shuffle like this. Yes, shuffling your cards without sleeves will 100% damage them. If you don't want to do damage to your cards, shuffle your deck. I'm sorry, sleeve your deck. Also, your hands get dirty while playing, touching the mat, touching the table. Maybe you're eating, maybe you're drinking, which I never recommend eating and drinking while playing. Your hands have dirt on them. Your hands have oil on them. This is the natural oiling of the skin. That means that when you touch the cards, like I'm touching them, you will transfer part of that oil on the card. And the card is paper, it's cardboard, and as you know, cardboard tend to absorb moisture from the air and moisture from your hands. This is why it's important that you sleeve your deck, so that you will reduce the amount of oil, of moisture, of dirt transferring from your hands to your deck. Also, maybe you will tell me, but I do have a very good grade of hygiene. Yes, I do believe you, but you don't know your opponent. Your opponent has the right to shuffle back your deck, and if your opponent has dirty hands, then it will spoil your cards. This is why it's important, and this is why I believe it's a blasphemy not to sleeve a deck when playing. Another important thing, sleeving cards, especially when playing, is, as I said, the shuffling process. If you sleeve cards, if you use sleeves on your cards, it will be very, very easy to shuffle your deck, because sleeves tend to be a little bit slippery, and that means that they will reduce the friction when you shuffle. I'm shuffling multiple times. You can see how difficult it is to shuffle, and let me try to shuffle this. You can see how easily it is to shuffle this bunch of cards that have sleeves. That is a very important thing to understand. Now, another important thing about sleeving is obviously the table. Let's say something that I already told you and I don't recommend. Let's say you have a bottle of water on your table and by mistake you just knocking. Water will spill out and will touch your cards. If you have sleeves, at least you have a little bit of basic protection, but without sleeves you will wet your cards and your cards will be immediately damaged. Last point regarding sleeving your cards is card marking. Recently we had a pro tour player, professional player, Yuya Watanabe. Unfortunately, his Tron deck was marked. Really and truly, his Tron deck was sleeves and was marked. And if you don't know how the marking cheat is done, I have done already a video how to avoid being cheated with the marked card cheat. I recommend to check that video also. But he was disqualified because his cards were marked. His cards were intentionally marked, that's why he got the disqualified. But, as I said, if you shuffle, if you play with your cards not sleeved, there is a very, very big chance that you will nick cards like this. See, there's a small nick here. You will nick cards. This is done especially when you shuffle your deck, especially if you shuffle very roughly your deck, or you play roughly your deck like this. If you do this, there is a chance that the cards will be marked. Nicking your deck, playing roughly your deck, you see there's a small care here. If you play with a deck like this, your deck will be marked. And your opponent has the right to call a judge because you have a marked deck, even though your deck is not intentionally marked. This is why it's very important to sleeve your deck. Sleeving, it's a very important process for a collector and for a Magic the Gathering player. It is, as I said, imperative that you sleeve your cards, especially in Pro Tour tournaments, in GPs. Always sleeve your decks. There's also a little bit of adventure in sleeving your decks. Nowadays there are customized sleeves. You can do a sleeve your customized background. I really like those type of sleeves. I saw sleeves customized with the face of the children, the sons and daughters of a player. They are very nice. Everyone has his own mark, and that's why it's important to play with sleeves. Leave me a comment below. Do you play with sleeves? Do you sleeve your collection? And here there is the subscription button. Subscribe for my channel for more interesting video about Magic the Gathering and the collectible world.